You may not think that your most important relationships need saving, but just consider the facts. It's well documented that 50% of marriages end in divorce. So your most important relationship has got a coin flip of a chance to be successful or not. And new research shows on a study of 14,000 US children that 40% of children have conflicting relationships with their parents. For me, being a great spouse and a great parent are two of the things I value most. What do we do about it? How do we strengthen these bonds? That's what this episode is going to teach you. Stay tuned.
Welcome to The Good Mood Show. This is the show where you will learn the best strategies to feel the good moods and good vibes we all love to feel. Now, here's your host, Matt O'Neill.
Have you ever felt like your relationships have gotten stale? Have you had trouble connecting on a deep level with your significant other? Or have you felt distant from your children or from your parents or from your siblings? Maybe you have a best friend you grew up with that you might have lost touch with because life gets busy. When you get to the end of your life, on your deathbed, you won't be wishing you had spent more time in the office. You won't wish you had earned more money. On your deathbed, it will be obvious to you that the most important currency in your entire life was always right in front of you. It was your relationships. This is the Good Mood Show, and there's nothing that impacts our mood more than our relationships with others. So if relationships are important to you, and I know that they are because you're a human, this is an episode to pay particular attention to. In the highly important book, The 5 Regrets of the Dying, author Bronnie Ware describes her conversations with people on their deathbeds from her time as a hospice nurse. Bronnie said that most people regret working too much and not having more of their work and life be in balance. They also regret not prioritizing the important relationships in their life. Don't wait until you're on your deathbed to make changes to your lifestyle that create better relationships. You could and you will completely revolutionize your relationships today after listening to this very episode. I know for me that the older I've gotten, the less and less time it seems that I have for important relationships. Sometimes with as busy as my family life is, we have 4 children, and as busy as my work life is, I have multiple companies. I kind of get stuck in a rut where each day I'm doing the same things. Each day kind of folds into the next. I get so busy with work and then school work with my kids after school and then their extracurricular activities like cheerleading and soccer and basketball and piano that sometimes I don't really have time to connect with anyone, my spouse or my kids or my family or people at work or my mom or my friends or anyone. I can kind of feel like I'm giving every single ounce of my energy just to keep it all going. And the idea of creating special one-on-one time with Katie, my wife, or with Harper, my oldest child, or with Brady, my youngest child, it kind of seems like a pie in the sky dream that I just can't pull off with how packed my calendar is. See, the thing is that the human animal likes to conserve its energy. It wants you to rest up so that you're prepared to handle whatever challenges you face tomorrow. That's why it's so hard to get yourself to plan so special moments with important people in your life. But I'm here to challenge that idea. You should be and you will be investing heavy amounts of time and energy into creating special moments with the people that matter to you so that your relationships are spectacular. In their book, The Power of Moments, Chip and Dan Heath talk about the passage of time. Look, time is not linear. Time isn't 1 second to the next second to the next second. As Einstein showed us, time is really elastic. And you can create more time in your life by using your time in better ways. When you live in your routine, I mean, that is, you go to work, you come home, you cook dinner, you do all your normal things, you watch your normal TV shows at night, and then you go to bed and you do this over and over and over again. Time doesn't pass slowly. In fact, it flies by because days turn into weeks, and then weeks turn into months, and then months turn into years. And pretty soon an entire decade has passed and you don't know where the time went. You don't want to spend your entire life like this, or you're going to miss all the joy, all the spice, all the life you could have lived. As Chip and Dan Heath point out, when you think back on your life right now, what stands out to you? So take a moment. Think back over the past year or 2 years. Think of the special moments, some moments that really spice things up, that made your life really fun and exciting. What are the things you think of when you think of your favorite moments? Well, it's probably not the chicken and broccoli dinner that you had last week. It's probably not the Netflix series that you binged last month. What usually stands out in our memory are important, special moments like vacations or big nights out or big life transitions. It's these moments that make our life slow down. The more of these big moments we can create, the more life we can pack into our time while we're here on earth. And you also get the added benefit of actually connecting in a meaningful way to the people around you when you create these moments. So that's what this episode is all about: how to create special moments with the relationships that matter to you so that you can pack more life in and slow time down, get more out of your life with the people that matter. In 2019, I went to a conference on how to live an amazing family life called Fambundance. The conference is about how to create better relationships with your spouse, better relationships with your children, and have a better family dynamic. My wife and 2 of our daughters went at the time. And the biggest takeaway I got came from a conversation I had with famous podcaster Josh Dorkin. Josh said that he took a one-on-one trip every year with each of his children. I was kind of blown away. I said, Josh, how do you have time to take a one-on-one trip with each of your children every year? And he said, how do I not have time? How do I have time not to do that? You know, I thought, we don't have time to take a family vacation. I can't imagine taking a vacation with each child every year. But I started to implement this. And there was another book I had read right around that same time called 18 Summers. And that's a book by Jim Shields. Sometimes it's also called The Family Board Meeting. And in that book, Jim says you only have 18 summers until your child has grown up and left the house and they're gone. And he said, if your child like mine is 10, you have 8 summers left. Man, 8 summers is not a lot of time. And I love my daughter and I don't want it to fly by. So prioritizing these special moments with your children allows you to create more time with them before they're gone. In the book, 18 Summers, he doesn't recommend taking a one-on-one trip every year. He recommends having a one-on-one date every month. So I took these 2 ideas, the one from Josh about the one-on-one trips and the one from Jim Shields about the one-on-one dates, and I created my own system, and that's what I'm going to teach you here today. What I do that has created these magic moments and has really saved my relationships, because my relationships were on these autopilot. They were kind of dull and stale when I wasn't prioritizing creating these moments, is I've created one-on-one date with one child once a month. So I have 4 children. This means that once a month, I go on one-on-one date with a child. And I'm going to go on a one-on-one date with this individual child 3 times this year, because I have 4 children. They each get 3 one-on-one dates with a 12-month year. And then I have my wife, and I want to have one-on-one time with her too. So I go on a one-on-one date with my wife every single month. And then there comes the trips. Look, a family is built around for me, a strong faith and belief in God, and then a strong marriage. Children feel so much more secure and comfortable when your spouse and you are getting along, when you two are madly in love. So the best thing you could do is pour into your marriage. So Katie and I have prioritized a one-on-one trip without the children every single year. And you don't have to spend a bunch of money. You can go camping one-on-one. And Katie and I love to camp. But every single year we get away from the kids. We have grandparents, or sometimes we pay a sitter to stay the night with the children. And we go and we just be without the kids and be married and in love again. And it's amazing. But see, here's the thing is that over half the marriages out there end in divorce. And why do they end in divorce? Well, people say, oh, I kind of fell out of love. Well, love is a verb. And you don't fall out of love, you act with love. So here are the 6 things that I'm going to recommend for you to start taking notes on and to implement in your life for incredible family relationships. The first thing, have a one-on-one date with your spouse every month. The second thing, have a one-on-one date with a child every month. The third thing, have a one-on-one trip with your spouse once a year. The fourth thing, have a one-on-one trip with one child every year. The fifth thing, have a quarterly one-on-one date with your parents. So I take my mom out once a quarter because that relationship's really important to me. And the sixth thing, make it a point to say yes, to hang out with important friends anytime there's an opportunity to get in person. And this is how you're going to prioritize your relationships. This is how when you get to your deathbed, you won't be in regret that you worked too much or you conserved your energy or you watched too much Netflix, that you actually did the thing that makes the most sense, which is give your energy to the people that matter to you. All right, let's talk about the challenges. A lot of times people say, this won't work in my life. The 2 challenges that come up usually, one are, I don't have time for all these one-on-one dates. And the second thing is, I don't have money to pull off all of these trips and these dates. Well, for the money part, you don't have to break the bank. In fact, some of my favorite trips and one-on-one dates are free, like bike rides and backpacking trips in the woods. And, we'll go to some free monuments or some museums in town, or we'll go to the beach. I mean, all these things are free. And I've got some of the most magic moments ever walking in the woods with my family. So then that really means the only real issue is not money, it's creativity. Are you creative enough? And you should be, because you can just spend a few moments thinking, what would be something fun that I could do? And then it comes down to time. Well, I already mentioned that if you don't do this, your entire life is going to pass you by without any special moments, and you're really going to be wasting your time. So if you want more time, you have to prioritize creating these special moments with the people that matter to you. And that is how you get more time, is by doing this, not by saying you don't have enough time to do it because you're too busy doing the boring things you'll never remember on your deathbed. So to create these one-on-one dates, I'm going to give you the framework. I have a sheet of paper that I slide into my journal. On that sheet of paper, I have 8 names written down. I have Katie, my mom, my 4 children, Harper, Cameron, Kelly, Brady. Then I have family vacation, and then I have next friend gathering. So those are the 8 points that I have written down on my paper. Each of them has a blank space next to it. And I'm going to go on a date with Katie once a month, probably more, but at least once a month, I'm going to plan something special. So every month on that blank space, I write in an idea when it comes to me about what I should do with Katie. This week, we're actually going to a magic show. So there's a magic show that's come to Charleston. And my mom has said, hey, I want to send you guys out to a show for Christmas. And so we said, hey, there's this magic show coming up, and that's going to be a fun thing to do. And that's a date that Katie and I are going to go on. My mom's going to watch the kids. We're booking dinner at a nice restaurant, and we're going to go watch some magic. I mean, it sounds like fun. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a magician. Some other one-on-one date ideas with your spouse. Katie and I love to go bowling. Now she's got high hand-eye coordination, so I don't always win in bowling. We love to see a play. We love to go to a concert. We've been to many country concerts. We like to go to fancy dinners. She likes to play basketball, and I like to play basketball. So sometimes we'll play one-on-one. We love to watch football. So sometimes we just like to go out and watch football together. We go to the movies. And another thing we've done is we've gone to cooking classes. These are just some ideas about some things that are beyond just maybe going out to eat that you could do together with your spouse. And then I plan a one-on-one trip with just Katie every year. This is a time to get away from the kids, away from the homework, away from the diapers, and just get back to being in love. This year we went to Savannah and we saw our favorite comedian, Nate Bargatze. You know, when we got to Savannah, we ran into some friends that were also there to see Nate. And that was cool. We got to get a drink with them. And then but it wasn't about hanging out with friends. This was a trip for me and Katie. So we, just had one drink with them and then went out and had a dinner with jazz music playing. And we saw a great show. And then we got to sleep in the next day. It was magical. And, our relationship needs these moments so that we stay husband and wife and that we're still hot for each other. And we definitely are. But it takes this intention and this creation to make it happen. Some other one-on-one trips that Katie and I have done, we've gone to Palmetto Bluff, which is just a drive away. We've gone to Kiowa. We've gone to Georgia. We've stayed at the Grove Park Inn. We like to go to resorts that we can get to quickly by car. And we like to stay in nice places. We've also gone to self-development conferences because that's something that the two of us, we like to grow together. Our children need us to take these moments so that our love is strong. If we get into a rut and we're bickering with each other, that hurts the kids. When we're not strong together, the kids don't feel safe. So we have to pay the babysitters. Yeah, and babysitters aren't cheap, but a divorce is a heck of a lot more expensive than babysitters and a lot worse. So the next are my children, and I have a one-on-one date with each child every month. With one child every month, not with each child every month. So with 4 kids, it means I have 3 one-on-one dates with each child every year. I also take one of the 4 kids on a one-on-one trip with just dad every year. So this will save your relationships with your kids. Sometimes I get distant with one of our kids, and those one-on-one dates just bring us right back together. I have so many friends talk about how relationships with teenagers become distant. I mean, heck, sometimes I feel like that with my preteens. But, just recently I was trying to brainstorm ideas of something to do with Harper, and I've got that list and her name's next to it, and the blank space is about, hey, what am I going to do with Harper the next time it's up for her one-on-one? Obviously, I want her to tell me what she wants to do because this is about her. And, but so they don't always have an idea. They're like, I don't know, Dad, what do you think? So she's 10, going on 18, and it's no longer about just going to the arcade or going to the movies. But, I'm trying to do something special that she's going to love because it's whatever she's into that I want to be into because that's how we connect. So I know she loves gymnastics. And I was like, man, what can I do around gymnastics? I did a Google search and I found that a cheerleading competition was going to be in Charleston. So just recently I scheduled a date to watch a cheer competition. And when I was there, Harper just lit up. She loved it. She was so inspired by the competition that now she wants to be a competitive cheerleader. And, I'll tell you, there's nothing like your daughter seeing you as her biggest hero because you get her. We went to a fancy dinner that night. Harper loves steak. So I took her to a steak restaurant in our town. We shared a piece of steak. We shared some oysters Rockefeller. We both got mocktails together. And, in the next week after the cheer competition, I said, Harper, do you really want to do this? And she said, Dad, this is exactly what I want to do. So we went to the best cheer coaching company in town, again from Google. And I went and talked to the people at the front desk with Harper next to me. And she's now signed up for a Monday night cheer class and a Friday night cheer class. And next year, she's going to be on stage at that competition. So what does this mean? It means that I'm going to be a cheerleading dad who travels all over the U.S. to go to these cheer meets. good. I want that for her. I want that kind of relationship with my daughter when she's in her teens, knowing that her dad is doing what matters to her. And I'll tell you what, since that moment, Harper and I are tighter than we've been in so long because she knows I'm committed to her happiness. She knows I care about her future and doing what she wants to do. I'm not a cheerleading guy. I love sports. I love outdoors, but I love my daughter more. And it matters to me not what I love to do or what I love to watch. It matters to me what she loves because I love her and I just want to see her happy. And so that's about these one-on-one dates with your kids. When you do what they want to do, that's when they open up to you. That's when they tell you what's going on in their life. When you spend a whole day doing what they want to do, that's like later in the day, those conversations about maybe something that's on their mind or something that's bugging them that they wouldn't say to you on a normal day, that's when it comes up. And then that's how you create a real relationship. So going back to Harper, this coming year is her one-on-one trip. And last year she created a dream board, and we do dream boards every year with the kids. She put a picture of the Eiffel Tower on her dream board. So I said, Harper, what are we going to do for your one-on-one trip? And she's like, I don't know. I said, well, I saw on your dream board in your room that you got the Eiffel Tower. What do you think about Paris? And she gasped. She's like, we can't afford to go to Paris. And I said, let's go ahead and eat some baguettes and go experience French life. And so we're going to be planning a trip with just Harper and I going overseas to Paris. And I'll tell you what, after these one-on-one trips, your relationships are never the same. They are so much tighter than you could even imagine. This past year, I took Cameron on a one-on-one trip. Now, same thing. Cameron's 8. I said, Cam, what do you want to do? And she says, I don't know, Dad. What are some ideas? And I said, well, we could go surfing. Maybe we fly to California and go surfing there. Or we could go camping, or we could go backpacking because I know Cam's really outdoorsy. And she said, backpacking sounds so cool. So Cam and I went backpacking, and we took 3 days and hiked 23 miles of the Appalachian Trail. And it was scary as heck because Cam is only 45 pounds and the pack on her back was like 25 pounds. And we summited 2 mountains. I've never done anything like that with a child. And you know what? It's, setting up the tent, setting up the fire, making the s'mores, persevering through a really, really hard hike with Cam. Like, man, on those trails, the conversations we had, our relationship will never be the same. It will always be enhanced and it will always be better because we took that trip. Now, Katie had to stay at home with the other 3. I had to miss some time at work. Cam had to miss some time at school. But the relationship matters more than the sacrifice. So Katie has now adopted this, and Katie takes one of our children out on a one-on-one trip every year too. And it rotates with the different kids. So Harper's not going to get 2 trips next year. She's going to get 1 with me, and then she'll get 1 in 2 years with Katie. And that's been really cool that she's adopted it. Now that puts the 3 kids with me for a long weekend. And I love it. I love supporting Katie and building strong relationships with her daughters and with her son. So I'm not always perfect, and no one ever is. Sometimes Harper and I get at odds with each other. Sometimes Cameron and I aren't talking that much. But it's the cadence of these one-on-one dates, and then it's the depth of the one-on-one trips that create these lasting bonds that you can't replicate any other way. So here's some one-on-one date ideas with my kids. I took Kelly to Disney one-on-one when she was 5. This was 2 years ago. And, I know a lot of people don't love Disney. I'll tell you what, Disney with just one other person is incredible. With a 5-year-old, and it's just me and her, I'm like, what do you want to do? And she's like, anything. And I'm like, let's do it. And so, we're eating donuts for breakfast, and we're going on whatever ride she wants to go on. And when she's tired of rides, we're going and getting cool somewhere. We're taking off from the park early and going back to the pool and just hanging out. And that was such a fun trip. I'm taking Brady to the Children's Museum in a couple weeks because it's his one-on-one date. Brady's 2. So I do say, when do you start these one-on-one dates? About 2.5 or 3, because before then, they can't interact as much. But Brady's going to the Children's Museum with me, and we're going to have a great time. I love to go surfing. My daughters love to surf. So sometimes our one-on-one dates are surfing and then getting some ice cream and pizza. Harper loves to shop, and that's who she is. And so our one-on-one trip was to Miami the last time when she was 8 years old. I took her to Miami and we went shopping in Miami. And that was what she loved. And I loved it. And it's the time in the plane, it's the time in the hotel room. It's the time waiting in lines for things. That's when your relationships get really deep because you're there together 24/7. And it's just awesome. I took Cameron to a ropes course. I took Kelly to the same ropes course. That was a lot of fun. I took him to the arcades. We like to go on bike rides. We love to go to historic parks and check things out there. We've also gone to plays. I took Harper to Orphan Annie. I took Kelly to Peppa Pig, and I'm taking Cameron to Shen Yun. And I took my mom, as we talk about making other relationships a priority. I took my mom to see Mannheim Steamroller and dinner just before Christmas. And that was my one-on-one time with my mom. I've also took my mom to a Marianne Williamson retreat, and we've gone out to a nice seafood restaurant. My relationship with my mom means so much to me, but without this system of creating these special moments, she comes over and she's Mimi, and it's all the kids jumping on her and me trying to get some conversation, on the side. And it's really not the same as just being at dinner with just my mom. So, sometimes my mom and I just get coffee without any kids, without Katie, just the two of us get coffee and we chit chat and we catch up. And this is what I'm going to say. If a relationship is important to you, you have to make one-on-one time a priority. Family vacations are also really important. And our family does our best to do one big vacation each year and plan out 3 smaller trips. In the big vacation this past year didn't really cost us anything. We went to Virginia and stayed with my buddy Joe. I love Joe. And his family was so gracious to let us stay in their house and bring all 4 kids. And the kids all slept in a tent. And we slept in one of the kids' rooms on their bed. And it was awesome. We loved the trip. And then I've got a friend, Avi, who lives in DC. And we spent the second half of the trip with Avi. And we checked out all the sites and the museums in DC. And the museums are free in DC. So our big trip virtually cost us nothing but gas and food. And it's not about how much money you spend or where you go. It's just that you make a priority to do a vacation. And the little trips, again, they don't have to cost much money. We went camping this year. We went to Yogi Bear campgrounds. And it was great. They had a lake and they had putt-putt, and they had a gem mine, and it was just really, really fun. And it was more about cooking s'mores over the fire and going on the hikes and being with the family outside of our normal environment. And that's where your memories are made. And that is how your life will have lots of special moments and meaning. And it just seems like you look back through your camera and you're like, I can't believe how much we did this year. It makes for a really awesome life. Last thing is you have to invest in important friendships. And this was one of the 5 regrets of the dying from that book. She said that most of the time we regret on our deathbed that we let those friendships just kind of fizzle out because we didn't make the effort to stay in touch. My best friend growing up was Mike Rosales. Well, Mike is still my best friend because I still prioritize that relationship and that friendship. He's come to see us in Charleston. We've gone to see him in Iowa. This year, we planned a double family vacation where his family went to Tampa and we went to Tampa at the same time. And we all watched the Detroit Lions beat the Tampa Bay Bucks. And we went to Busch Gardens as a family and did these crazy rides. Like these rides were insane. Man, there was one ride I wouldn't do because somebody had to watch the baby. So I stayed back. But everyone else did this crazy ride that looked like they were going to die, and they still talk about it. Now, I missed it because I didn't do the big ride, but again, the family had such a good time. It was freaking awesome. All right. And then say yes. So if a friend that you like invites you to do something and you feel too tired or you feel too busy, say yes. Friendships are so important. You know, in the show, in the book, The Blue Zones, it talks about people who live to 100 or more. And one of the most important, I think it's the most important ingredient of that, is social connection. So I know your human animal wants to rest up. It wants to watch the Netflix show. It doesn't want to go out to the party. It doesn't want to go out when your friends say, let's go out. But I promise you, the human interaction and the connection is the magic of your life. Every time you say yes when you didn't feel like it and you get there, you're like, man, I'm glad I did this. So my challenge to you is to do two things. I want you to plan a one-on-one date for this month, and I want you to plan a one-on-one trip for 2024. When you plan your one-on-one date and your one-on-one trip, I want to hear from you. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. Shout me out on social at Good Mood Matt on TikTok and Instagram, or send me a note on goodmoodshow.com contact page. I really want to see your relationships transform, and I want to see you get the most out of your life. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Good Mood Show with Matt O'Neill. For free resources, videos, and materials about getting into your best moods, head over to thegoodmoodshow.com. See you next week, same time, same place.